Assalamu alaikum, boys. Okay, so here we are with chapter 4 of Salahuddin. I hope you guys are enjoying it so far. Um, where we left off in chapter 3, Salahuddin was living in Alexandria, and he was besieged in Alexandria, but the people of Alexandria started to like him, and even the Crusaders, the Christians, started to like him. Eventually, Wazir Shawar, he gave the money to Shirkuh, and he told them to go back to Syria. So they went back to Syria. Let's see what happens in chapter 4. Chapter 4, Who Will Rule? Egypt in 1168. The people hiding in their houses heard the sound of horses and men in armor first. Then the screams and cries began. Outside in the narrow streets of Bilbais, everyone trying to run away from danger, but it was hopeless. Everyone was trying to run away from danger, but it was hopeless. Amalric's knights, on their war horses, were everywhere. Their bright swords were red with blood, not just of the soldiers fighting them, but of the people in the town too. No one was safe, and at the end of that terrible day, the streets were silent and bloody. At, After the Franks killed so many people near Cairo, Caliph al-Adid sent a secret letter to Nur al-Din. He wrote, I no longer think that Wazir Shawar is loyal to the Egyptians. He is too friendly with the Franks, and all the money that Shawar pays King Amalric does nothing to stop Amalric's knights killing my people. They want all the country. Then, when they have it, they'll use all our gold to make their castles and armies even stronger. Shawar is ready to give them anything as long as he can be the strongest man in Egypt. We're all in great danger. Please help us. Nur al-Din called Yusuf and said, Find General Shirkuh. Yusuf went to the old general sadly. When his uncle told him to get ready for another campaign in Egypt, Yusuf said, By God, even if you give me the whole country, I won't go. He still remembered the terrible siege of Alexandria, but Nur al-Din's orders were law to all his men. So he had to go. So in a few short days, the army was on its way to Egypt for the third time. Early in January of 1169, after 3 weeks' journey, they marched into Cairo. Everyone was happy to see the Syrians. The Franks left the country without a fight, and the Egyptians felt safe at last. So they didn't even have a battle. The Caliph said, Shawar is a criminal. He was loyal only to himself, not to Egypt or to me, and now he must die. You must kill him, Yusuf. With Shawar's death, Shirkuh was the new vizier. He gave all the beautiful things in Shawar's house to the people of Cairo. He was also now the commander of the Egyptian army, but his love of food killed him after only 2 months. One day, halfway through a wonderful meal, he gave a great cry and died. Important men working for the Caliph asked, Who will be the new vizier? We must find a good man. So what happened? General Shirkuh, he loved eating good food, and he ended up eating, and something happened to him, and he passed away. He died. So he became the ruler, and we read about this in another book. And just 9 weeks later, he passed away. Okay, the Caliph. You guys know what a Caliph is, right? Khalifa, the Khalifa. So at the time, we had a Khalifa in Islam, and that was the one ruling for all the Muslims. Okay, orders. You guys know what orders are? Amr. Commander is like a leader. Okay, an Amir. Okay. We also need a new commander, the Syrian general said. It was difficult. The Egyptians wanted one of their people as vizier and commander of their army, and Nur al-Din's men couldn't work for someone from anywhere but Syria. I know, said someone. Let's make Yusuf the new vizier. He's only 30 and knows nothing about ruling a country. We'll tell him what to do, and he'll do it. Many agreed that Yusuf was the right man for the job, and so he became both vizier of Egypt and commander of the Syrian and Egyptian armies. Not everyone was happy to see Yusuf in this important job. A few soldiers went to Syria to tell Nur al-Din that the new vizier Yusuf wanted to take over Egypt. Nur al-Din was angry, so to show that he was loyal to his old commander, Yusuf went with the Caliph and the people to pray for Nur al-Din every Friday. When his brother Turan Shah arrived from Syria, Yusuf told him, It's not easy here, but thank God I learned the law from Nur al-Din and how to organize armies from my uncle, because we have enemies everywhere. not just the Franks. So even the Egyptians were enemies of the Syrians at this time. Yusuf was right. One day, one of his soldiers saw that one of the caliph's men was wearing very strange shoes on his feet. When he left the caliph's great house, inside one of these shoes was a secret letter which Yusuf opened and read. The Egyptians wanted Amalric and his knights to attack Yusuf and the Syrians, but the Franks never saw that letter. In the end, the Franks came, but Yusuf and his army were ready for them and sent them away without any problems. So there was somebody trying to be a spy and was going to attack the Syrians, but Yusuf caught him and they stopped this attack. Yusuf was a careful ruler, and Egypt quickly grew into a strong country under him. He decided that it was wrong to have a rich life and that it was more important to help people in trouble. So he took a new name, Salahuddin, which means the good of religion, to show that he wanted to be a good Muslim. And he gave all the expensive presents that people gave him to the Egyptians and to his soldiers. He lived in a small house and used his money as a vizier to build schools and hospitals. He also made the walls of Cairo stronger and built a great castle on the Muqattam hills. I want the Egyptian people to know that we are on their side and that we want their country to be strong and safe. Then they will be happy to fight with us against the Franks, he told his Syrian generals. But Nur al-Din was more and more angry, he wrote. Yusuf, I'm your commander. You're spending all your time ruling a country that doesn't belong to you. You're getting strong and rich with Egypt's gold. But I want you, your new soldiers, and the money that you won with me, here to fight the Franks in the Holy Land. Unless you come back to Syria immediately, I'll attack you. So Nur al-Din's met with Yusuf, Salahuddin. Some young men in Salahuddin's army said, if the king of Syria comes here, we'll fight him and send him back to his country. But Ayub, Salahuddin's father, told him, I'll kill you myself if you go against your commander. Salahuddin listened and waited. In 1174, Nur al-Din died. His last words were, only one thing makes me unhappy. What will happen to my family at the hands of Yusuf, son of Ayub? Because Nur al-Din's son, al-Saleh, was only 11 years old, many people wanted to rule Syria in the boy's name. Then 2 months later, King Amalric of Jerusalem died too. His son Baldwin was 13 and was ill with leprosy. Salahuddin, now 36, saw that it was a good time to move against the Franks, but he needed a bigger army. If I can teach Nur al-Din's son how to be a good ruler while he's still young, and I can rule Syria in his name, then all Muslims will help my soldiers fight for the Holy Land, he thought. If I can teach Nur al-Din's son how to be a good ruler while he's still young, But many Syrians were afraid of Salahuddin. The emir said, you go too far, Yusuf. You were just a soldier, and now you want all of Syria? You came from nothing. You are nothing, and we won't listen to you. But Salahuddin wanted to make Nur al-Din's dream of winning back the Holy Land come true. He took Damascus with little trouble. Then he moved on to Aleppo. This was where the young al-Saleh went with his emirs after they saw how quickly Salahuddin was winning the country. But Aleppo was difficult to take. So Salahuddin attacked the castle of Azaz first. It fell after 38 days of fighting, and then Aleppo surrendered. The emirs didn't trust Salahuddin and thought that he really wanted to be king of Syria. So they asked the assassins, a secret group of killers, to kill him. The assassins are famous, boys. The Hashashin, they're from Egypt, and they were famous murderers. They would come into people's houses without them knowing, like ninjas, and kill people. But it wasn't easy. Some of his soldiers said, we were near Sinan, the assassin's general, but he has great powers that we can't explain. He looked at us, and we couldn't lift our swords to fight him. One night, Salahuddin made a trap to catch anyone trying to get near him while he was sleeping. In the morning, he found some sweet bread near his head. A knife through it held a message, saying, you are under our power. No one could explain how the things got there. Perhaps Sinan does have special powers, thought Salahuddin. We must stop fighting him and his people. No one knew that Salahuddin and Sinan agreed, but the assassins never tried to hurt Salahuddin again. By 1177, most of Syria wanted to help Salahuddin, who was now 39. Then the news came that the Franks and the people in Byzantium were no longer friends. Salahuddin felt that perhaps now was the time to start a holy war to take Jerusalem back from the Franks. So I guess there's this guy here, Sinan. I think he has a jinn with him or something, and the people are freaked out that he's got magic powers. Let's see what happens going forward. I hope you guys are enjoying this chapter, and I know my reading wasn't the best today, but inshallah you guys enjoyed it nonetheless, and you guys can read it again yourselves. Take care.